Okay, welcome, Tanse. Wow, you all belong. You are welcome here. You've joined us this Wednesday with Can Do and our Webinar Wednesday series. We're delighted, we're honored that you have joined us this afternoon. It's going to be a good one with a special guest speaker. Colleen Nolan is here all the way from Ontario. But before we introduce her and we pass this mic to off so she can, bring her good knowledge to the table, we would just want to take a moment and press pause and just extend gratitude for the gift of this beautiful day. The seasons, the leaves are changing, they're falling to the ground. Mother Earth is coming into a new season. So we just acknowledge all of the goodness. Summer really is about abundance. The teachings of that strawberry, so abundance coming into our lives. And we're in this season of now letting go, clearing perhaps our spaces, making room for then the next season, which is that hibernation or rest season. So seasons have very much a purpose in our lives, and they teach us, remind us how we should be walking in Creator's world. So we're so grateful for this day. We're grateful that sun rose in the east, that we've been given another opportunity to walk our path, to honor the call of our hearts, and to honor our ancestors and whatever we do. So thank you for joining us. We give thanks to Creator for the gift of another day. And it's going to be a good opportunity for us this afternoon. Can Do is all about promoting that capacity building and education and economic development. And so as we grow and we learn together, we're only, building a stronger circle, building stronger communities and organizations. So knowledge is power. So this is just an excellent opportunity that we can learn, we can be inspired, we can walk away with some knowledge that perhaps we haven't considered, and then we can apply it into our lives, into what we're doing. So it's really great that you are here. I come every Wednesday, and I come with my paper and notepad ready to learn, and just having that posture of, I'm a student for life. We are students for life and constantly, continuously growing and evolving. And it's great to be here with you all. So one thing I haven't mentioned in a long time, and I'm excited to mention, in December, we are going to do a draw for a $1,000 Visa gift card. And how you get your name entered is really easy. So every evaluation that you fill out when you come to these webinars, your name will be entered to win a draw. So there will be an evaluation link sent to you after today's webinar. So please fill it out. We love to hear your feedback. Your voice is really important to us. And then, getting your name into that draw. $1,000. Woohoo! All right. Well, let's get on with today's presentation. We have Colleen. She's an Anishinaabe woman, originally from Garden River First Nation, Ontario, with over 20 years experience in community and business development. She has worked in the areas of employment and training, economic development, and Indigenous tourism, where she has supported and guided job seekers and entrepreneurs. Her specialty includes community engagement, program development, and facilitation. She has facilitated numerous workshops, programs, and training sessions targeting Indigenous people, including business model canvas, entrepreneurship, women's empowerment, business planning, and those are just to name a few of what she has to offer. She's a coach and mentor for Indigenous businesses, and she is passionate about community development and capacity building and networking. Oh my, she's just full of life and knowledge and goodness. We're honored to have you here with us, Colleen. We're going to pass this virtual mic off to you. I know that you all are in good hands this afternoon. Thank you for bringing your knowledge to us. And, even as I'm wearing today my earrings, a young gal made these representing the missing and murdered Indigenous women, Two-Spirit peoples. And I think it's really important when we hear, the knowledge from our Indigenous women and the strength and the power and the knowledge. So we honor you and thank you that you are here today. So I'm passing this virtual mic off to you.
All right. Thank you, Miigwech Nyawa, for that introduction. And I am really honored to be here to be able to share this information with you. I have you said the word gratitude, and every day, every time I get opportunities like this, I always give thanks for that opportunity that opens doors, that opportunity to share with other people, because like you said, my passion is passing that knowledge on to other people and sharing what I know. And one of the things that I'll say it in the next slide here, but it's we all have a story, right? We all have a short story to share. And throughout my life and throughout my growth, I had my mentors. I had my pack of women that had provided me with the skills that I'm passing on. So I'm that type of person to be able to, help other people grow, know where they can go. So, once, we get to the end of the slide, I have my contact information. Reach out for any type of question that you have regarding this presentation or regarding other things that you might want to, engage or learn about. So tonight, it's like 5 o'clock here in Eastern Ontario, almost nighttime. So I'll just give a brief introduction, in addition to some of my bio there. We're going to look at, before we get started with the business model canvas, we're going to just look at, a couple slides on opportunities within our communities, and then looking at the first part of the business model canvas. So my name is Colleen Nolan. I'm the owner of CN Training Solutions. I'm a trainer, a business plan writer, an economic development tourism professional, and I tried to make up a cool word, but right now my cool word is mockpreneur. I don't know how cool that is to everybody else, but my son kind of laughed at me. And I always tell this story because our stories and our experiences really kind of develop who we are as a person, right? And so when COVID first began, there was a lot of bad things that happened throughout COVID, but there was also a lot of good things. Being 10 hours away from my home community, it was quite a challenge to be able to go home, right? To go visit my parents. I was going home and then having a family. So it was quite a challenge to go home. I'd go home maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and that was it. And for a weekend and working and raising my kids and having them in sports, I couldn't go home as often as I can. And I've been away from my home community for 30 years. So it's been quite a challenge. So I also teach college courses part-time. So during COVID, it was March break in quotation marks for 2 weeks. Well, we know what that 2 weeks ended up being. And I made the decision to stay home with my mom for that duration of time. And so I really got to know my mom again. I really got to know my brother. My brother was 8 years old when I left home. And so again, same thing. I'd see him every so often. So it was a great way to connect, be me back with my community and my family. And throughout that time, I also had a lot of stress and anxiety, and like probably most people did, right? And finding ways to help with that. COVID grounded myself, as the daughter of a residential school survivor, right? We were not provided with the language at home, maybe some culture not, right? And so, I got back into, practicing gratitude and practicing smudging and drinking our cedar teas and our medicines, right? And giving thanks for what we do have. And so with all that stress, my mom had leather. And so I'm like, oh, can I use your leather? And so I started to, I made a pair of moccasins, which I never did before. And then I made another pair, and I made another pair. And soon I was like, okay, I want to change this up. And so when I came back here to Akwesasne, which is where I live now, as a trainer in the community, I put it out. How many people want to do, a mock workshop via Zoom, because we can't meet in person, right? And so that's where it initiated. And so 3.5 years ago is when I really started that, creative mockpreneur, and have taught over 1,000 people on how to make their own moccasins, how to make youth moccasins, how to make mitts. I have a workshop tonight. We're making the leather wraps, the leggings, right? So, that is something that, the COVID had brought, to me, was new knowledge that now I'm sharing that with others. So, my passion is sharing, my passion is helping, my passion is teaching. Not too much about me now, but let's get on with the show. So opportunities. When we think about our communities, and all of our communities might be similar in many ways, and we might be different. Here in Akwesasne, it's a very large community and more so urban than some of our more rural and um, closed off communities. But there's always opportunities if we look within our communities. If we are current business owner, first off, well, let's listen to our clients. What are some of our clients saying? Are they saying, I wish we had this, or I wish we had this, or I wish there was this? In one of the classes that I was doing, one of the directors of one of the programs was saying, I wish they had a mobile coffee truck, because people would take off for, half hour to go and buy coffee, right? So they said, oh, they can come here, park, everybody can come get their coffee and then go back to work and not have to go and take that long break. Touch base with your customers. We had, when I'm talking with some of my customers, they'll say, like tonight after we're doing this, one of my friends says, hey, can you teach me how to make fry bread? So because they know that I'm not going to say I'm pro or anything like that, but I cooked for about 50 people, fry bread. They all loved it. Now she wants to learn. So, what are people saying? And when you reach out to your customers, what are they looking for? Right? And investigate your competition. Who is currently out there, maybe doing what you're doing? Maybe how is it that you can change it up? One of the things, that I've been working on was, how can I incorporate making moccasins with, with incorporating education in it, education as far as reconciliation, right? How is it that I can combine both of those? We see, all different types of workshops and everything like that. Well, how is it that I can make it different, or how can I make it unique, or how can I make, people wanting my product or service? So when we look at our community, look at it as a whole, maybe what's not there, listening to people, and just investigating our competition. So what kind of opportunities are there in your community? So I do want you to write down potentially, what kind of opportunities are there. Here we used to have a grocery store, but we don't have a grocery store. We did a leakage study. This was, I think, in 2016, and it calculated how much money was going outside of the community. And looking at where we are, Cornwall's right next door. We're situated right on the border, and there's two smaller towns on the American side of the community. And so when we were looking at that leakage study, we were looking at how much money was going outside of the community. We purchased cars, we purchased groceries, we purchased clothes, so all of that money was going out. Well, how is it that we can bring some of that money into our community? Maybe we start off with maybe a shoe store, or maybe we start off with a garage, or whatever it is that we start off with a small and then build upon that. So think about what kind of opportunities are in your community. Is it regards to tourism? Is it services? I worked with Indigenous Tourism Ontario for about 1.5 years, and 2 out of 3 international visitors are looking for that Indigenous experience. So how is it that we can, is that an opportunity? Definitely. Are, what can you, are you a guided hiking person? How can we incorporate our Indigenous knowledge into that sort of experience? So what kind of opportunities are there within your community? So what is a business model? So basically, a business model describes how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. What I love about this, the business model canvas, is it's really simple. We don't, as entrepreneurs at the forefront, we don't need a business plan right now. We need to understand our business first, right? If we're looking for financing, then yes, we need a business plan, but really to understand what our value, what our product is, this really gets that good scope and good understanding of our business and our business model. So here is the whole, this is a nice drawing. It's not my drawing. I'm not that artistic, but it's a really awesome awesome product. So the business model canvas is a tool to visualize all the building blocks when you want to start a business, and it helps you understand the business model in a straightforward, structured way. It really helps you understand, who your client is, what your value is, how are you communicating with your customers, how are you getting there, how are you developing those relationships, what is your revenue, what key activities are you doing, who are your key partners, what are your key resources, and what is your cost structure. So today we're going to look up half of that, and I kind of like to call that the front end of the house. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to look at the back end of the house. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to also share a fillable PDF with everybody and in the chat. And let me see if I can do this right now. I had this button all prepared before, so it should pop up. So you can, I'm hoping that you'll be able to click and download that in your chat. And I created it I shouldn't say I created it, I edited it so that it's fillable. So hopefully you don't get lost, with the screens and everything like that, but you'll be able to, put your notes in it. The business model is meant to be a large poster on your wall, because and to be able to be constantly edited and constantly updated, because it changes, right? Our business model changes as we go along. So download that business model canvas. And if you're savvy enough to move your screens around, you can open it as we go through each one of those components. So the benefits of using the business model canvas, like I mentioned, it's visual. And I'm a visual learner, right? I learned by creating PowerPoints and, typing in and, seeing and understanding that way. So it's a really great way to provide that clear view of our business, right? It helps us gain a better understanding, and it's fast and it's easy to use. Like I said, I did this workshop a couple weeks ago. I ran a youth entrepreneurship, was probably about 4 years ago, and the kids that participated in it were 10 to 16 years old, and I could not believe the ideas that what they were coming up with. They named their business, they knew who their customers were, and they had to present that as well. So it was pretty awesome that we had our young children be able to participate in that and use it. So here are the 4 components that we are going to look at today. We're going to look at value proposition, customer relationships, customer segments, and channels. And if you want, if you don't download it, you can also draw it on your paper. So if you look at, let me see if I can do this. If you look at the whole canvas, right, we've got, the 9 components. So on the right side, we've got 2 here. It looks like a little gift box, a person, a truck, a heart, and a till. So those are the 4 sections that we are going to work with today. So if you need to, draw that on a piece of paper, feel free to do that. So our first component, and I'm going to use some examples too as we talk, right? So we talk about our customers. So CN Training Solutions is my business. So within the business model, we can have different customer segments. So it doesn't have to be one, because we might offer different products, we might offer different services. So identifying that customer segment might be different for each of those components. So the customers are the heart of every business model. So a business model may define one or several large or small customer segments. So I just put on here typically just 3 different types of customer segments. There are way more, right? So we look at mass market. Well, everybody. Well, if I'm doing, certain, business model canvas training, I'm not going to really do it to the mass market because everybody really doesn't need my product. But if we're looking at maybe, I don't know why I like to use deodorant as an example, right? So what is it that I'm selling? So mass market, mostly everybody needs deodorant or everybody needs groceries. So that mass market is, pretty much everybody in our vicinity, right? Niche market. So what is a niche market? So I kind of like to say, looking at a funnel, right? If we're looking at a funnel, we've got everybody in this top portion, and we're making it go down, 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 down into a specific segment. So if we're offering, let's say, I don't want to call them fad diets, but, healthier food items or healthier menus, right? If we're a food truck, right? Are we specifying our food truck items to maybe people with diabetes, right? Or is Indigenous people with diabetes? Are we targeting, as people that are looking at a specifically more healthier lifestyle, or are cutting sugar or gluten, right? So that's kind of filtering it down into making that target really fine-tuned, people with health issues, people with high blood sugar, and we're creating maybe a food truck, a healthy food truck that is targeting that specific client base. Segmented, right? I've done a women's empowerment boot camp, Indigenous women's empowerment boot camp. So we did, so we've got Indigenous women, between this, maybe we could say 18 to 30, maybe there's specific funding that we have to, I guess, I don't want to say abide by, but, maybe that's what our proposal says, right? So maybe it's youth, maybe it's all Indigenous women. I have a passion for Indigenous women empowerment boot camps such as this, because we all have a story, and part of that story was in an unhealthy relationship where it really took a toll on my esteem and how I felt about myself. And I was able to, get myself out of that situation, but really had to focus on building myself and making me feel good about myself. So I really, believe that all of these, when we have that support system for women, right, that we just we just become stronger, right? And, yeah. And so segmented, what are we, are we targeting women between this age? Are we targeting maybe men that are into different types of fitness, and maybe we have a new style of golf shorts or something like that? So segmented is just breaking up that into smaller groups. So our customer segment, for whom are we creating value for, right? And who are our most important customers? So like I mentioned with my business, I have different workshops that are targeted to different segments. I do my moccasin workshops, which have been, popular for the past 3 years. So sometimes I'll target organizations that we can do team building, right? Sometimes I'll target different First Nations communities. I've worked with Healthy Babies, Healthy Children program where they made moccasins for their kids. So that's one customer segment. And then my other customer segment is, pretty much anybody who wants to learn how to make moccasins, right? And so I put that out there. So one is a corporation where will send them, I'll send them a proposal, right? And then we go from there. So like I mentioned, our customer segments can be broken up into the different products or the different services that we might have to offer. So this is where we got just our business model in a little bit more of a, not so caricature way. And so under our customer segments, I just put here a couple of samples. So maybe it's just women. Maybe it's youth between the ages of 18 to 30. Maybe people, like I said, that are looking at healthy lifestyles, adventure seekers, sports enthusiasts, right? We did a team building activity a couple of years ago, and we got to ride four-wheelers. And we never had a four-wheeler. And so I thought that was so fun. So identifying your customer segments is really, I guess, a need, so that when we go and start to market our product, that we're making sure that we're reaching out to that target group. Right. Value. This here, the value proposition creates value for the customer, right? So value can be quantitative. So it could be price, it could be speed, or it could be qualitative. So it could be design, or it could be customer experiences. I always, have to stress knowing the value of your product and your service, right? So what value do we deliver to the customer? Which one of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? I'm working on a proposal with one of our local companies here, and she's noticed in the paper that there was always jobs for prep cooks and cooks for this one organization, and she's seen it over and over again. So she says to me, I want to put in a proposal to be able to do their food service provider, right? Because they can't hire, they're having a hard time hiring cooks. We want to be their problem solver. We want them to hire us and say, we need 50 meals a day, or 40 meals a day, or we need lunch and dinner, or we need breakfast and lunch. So having that company outsource their food service. So here, which one of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? Right? Well, your clients will get fresh home cooked meals, right? Which customer needs are we satisfying? She had told me that, that some of the people, like some of the other workers, were in there prepping lunches, and they were helping load the trucks up so that the food can get out to the elders, right? It's an elders meal program, right? That they're having difficulty filling the cook positions. So they're satisfying that need because they don't have that ability. So fresh cooked meals, delivery on time, what bundles or products or services are we offering to each of those segments? So again, if we have different segments, right, we can have different values for each of those segments. I work with a lot of artisans as well. And so authentic, handmade, custom designed. And I think I got these on the next slide right here. So is our product faster, right? Is it cost effective, right? Cost effective. I didn't start working on that proposal yet, but if they've hired a cook, right, and this cook is working for the annual salary of whatever dollar amount, but for them to be able to provide the meals for that day, it might be maybe 40% cheaper for them to be able to outsource that food service, right? So it could be cost effective for that organization. It could be time saving. Sometimes we think like when I was cutting moccasins, when I was cutting moccasins, it's a lot of time. So what I did was I hired somebody to do my lining for me. So she would take all my lining, she would go, it saved me time, right? And I tell people, if you're looking at making moccasins, order a kit. It saves you time from maybe buying the leather, buying the lining, finding a pattern, and then you've invested maybe $500 in all of that stuff, and then realize, oh, this, I think I made one pair and that's all, right? And it took you forever. So, buying a kit versus, buying everything could save time. Cutting edge, maybe you have new technology. We had a program here that was teaching people to work with a 3D printer, right? To work with embroidery. So it was a technology program. So with new technologies, things might be faster, right? So we got faster there, could be easier, could produce maybe more output, and then some custom creative value. So authentic, handmade, maybe unique design, maybe one of a kind. One of my daughter's friends is she's an artist. So she creates logos, or she creates tattoos, right? And only one, so one of a kind. So if you're looking for a tattoo and you go to this girl and she's got one of a kind designs, right? So you know that nobody's ever going to really have that tattoo that you might have. So what is the value propositions that your product or your service brings to that customer segment? And like I mentioned, this is one of the most important in my mind about understanding what you bring to the table, if you want to say it like that. As a trainer, I like to engage. So maybe my, value proposition could be engaging. I like to make people laugh. So we're going to have some fun. And I love in-person workshops, but virtual is, maybe I'll have time to tell you a story later, but we'll see if that comes to fruition, right? So value proposition, sorry here. So take some notes as to if it's your business that you have, or if it's a business that you're thinking about. And as we go along too, if you have any questions about any of these, and towards the end of our session, we can also get some input from other people as to let's build a business kind of thing, and let's share some of those ideas, right? Channels. And you see there's a nice little yellow truck there. So describes how a company communicates with and reaches its customer segments. How many times do you look within your community and you're like, oh, I didn't know they were here. I didn't know, how long have they been here? I didn't even know what they do, right? So how is it that your company communicates with and reaches its customer segments? So a channel serves several functions. It raises awareness among customers about a company's products and services. So do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? How do people know what is it that you're doing? If people don't know what it is that you're doing, how are they able to become a customer, right? And so it allows customers to purchase specific products and or services as well, if you're maybe doing that online, or if you're looking maybe for a carpenter, right? So how does the product get from your company to the customers? Through which channels? And these are two important ones. Through which channels do your customer segments want to be reached, right? And how are they reaching them now? And which ones work the best? So here, Akwesasne is a large community. There's probably about 13,000 people right within the 3 districts here. We have our own radio station and we have our own newspaper, but the majority of the radio listeners and the newspaper readers are seniors. So if we have young hip hop tattoo artists and stuff, and they're trying to reach out to their customers, is that going to be the most appropriate channel to reach out to them? If that target market, if that client is not a radio listener or a paper reader, I listen to the radio mostly sometimes on Fridays because it's free format Friday. So they play whatever they want to play. Right. And so, looking at which ones that, reach our customer, which ones work the best. So is it through social media, and which social media works better? Is it Facebook? We know that, the aging, not the aging, but the users of the more, users tend to be, above a certain age range. And so if you're a company, a business that is targeting the younger range, is that a channel that's going to get connected with them? Or is it TikTok, or is it Instagram? And so how is it that we are reaching our customers now, and which channels work best and which ones don't? So here, social media. So which channels are we using? I did have Twitter, but I'm like, I didn't even know the benefit of Twitter. So I quit using Twitter because I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, right? Instagram, started using Instagram a little bit more, but not so much for my business, just, personal Instagram. But I do have a Facebook page. And, how do we get those followers? How do we get people reaching that? I created my website, and even if the website is just an information page, it's at least something people can look at, to either look at what you do, how to connect you, how to see what services you provide, and how to reach out to you online. Is it direct? One of the when I first started doing the Moxon workshops, mostly, pretty much the channel was word of mouth. I had, some people reaching out to me because other people were talking, which is not always a bad thing, right? They were talking and finding, oh, I got your name from so and so. So, word of mouth is often a really good way to get out there for people to know you. When I was teaching some job search programs, I would always say, I think there's that saying, it's oh, it's who you know. You get a job by it's who you know. And I would always switch that around and say, it's not about who you know, but it's about who knows you, who knows your business, who knows what you do. And if people don't know what you do, how can they hire you? Right. So, or how can they go to your store if they don't know who you are? So looking at those channels is important in getting that word out about what you do and what your products or services are. So with today's session, I got a direct message on Facebook and saying, hey, I saw that you were doing this. Do you do this? So, I think that, and that's one of the way, or I guess one of the positive things about these sessions as well is, we're all independent contractors, most of us. So it's leading to those business connections, right? So channels, relationships. Describes the type of relationships a company establishes with specific customer segments. So they can range from personal to automated. I'm not an automated person yet at that, on AI, whatever that is, right? Maybe I'll do that soon now. So different categories of relationships. So it could be personal assistance, dedicated personal assistance, self-service, or automative. So what type of relationship does each of our customer segments expect to establish and maintain with them? Which ones have we established, and how costly are they? So if we're looking at, an automated service, right, how much is that going to cost us? Is there a dollar sign that is attached to that? We have all of these, with larger organizations, we have weekly newsletters that go out. We got maybe text messages. I get text messages on sale for jeans, right? Those cost money. So how automated do we need to be for our business? Maybe it's just personal assistance. Maybe people contact me and I work with them one-on-one, which is how I'm doing it. If you think about insurance, right? I'm sure, most of us or all of us have some sort of automobile insurance, right? And, with my old insurance, it used to be, I had an agent, that, when I called my insurance number, I was spoke to Mary, right? And Mary was my insurance agent that helped me with whatever I needed. That has changed now. She's now it's anybody who answers the phone there, right? But that dedicated personal assistance, maybe when you go buy a car, you've got that salesman that you've been working with, for how many years. So that dedicated personal assistance is, that one person that works with you, right? And self-service. Oh yeah, let's go to the grocery store and buy our stuff and go through that ourselves. So sometimes that is, based on who it is that or what is it that we do. Maybe that's what it describes. That's what it is, right? It's a self-service type of a relationship. So how do we interact with our customers? And do we have email subscriptions, or is it personal? I like to, mine is basically, just a personal type of relationship that I hold with each of my customers. I had did a couple of workshops online, and I had one individual who is from California, and ever since she took the workshop, she's always emailing me, can I order another kit? Can I order another kit? So she just ordered like 10 kits so that she can make things for Christmas gifts for all of her family. So, she started off with taking a workshop and never met her in person. So it's just, our communication has been through Instagram and email, right? So how are we communicating, or how are we developing those relationships with our customers? Do we have like a customer appreciation event so that, we're making those in-person relationships? So customer relationships is, I think all of these, I'm going to say this is most important as well. Each of these segments are important in what it is that we are doing. Yeah. Revenue is the cash a company generates from each of those customer segments. So we have two main types of revenue streams. We've got transactional, right? A one-time purchase. And then we've got recurring, online, ongoing payments. And our pricing mechanisms, and sometimes that can be hard. And maybe that's a future workshop, right? How to price our products. Maybe, that is, was asked about that as well, because even as artisans or as consultants, right, we have a hard time with, putting that number to something that we do, whether it's our moccasins, whether it's our skirts, whether it's, our training fees. And, so once we've identified at least a pattern, then we can really, set that price there. Pricing mechanisms, is it a fixed menu pricing, or all my, shirts, all my orange shirts, we see all the orange shirts coming out now, right? Are they set at $19.99? And that's the fixed pricing mechanism for all of those. All adult shirts are $19.99. All kids shirts are $9.99, right? So fixed menu pricing is a standard, pretty much like a standard fee. Dynamic pricing. So one of the things that, as a consultant, and what I do is, I customize the workshops. So if a certain vendor is looking for a certain workshop, I say, okay, what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for a full day workshop, a half day workshop? What is the topic? So then I will price it based on what he's looking for. Is it a 2 day? Is it a boot camp? Is it, what do you want to include in that? I could do this, I can do that. And that's can be kind of hard when we have that dynamic pricing model as well. Moccasins, do you want beading? Do you want, different types of furs could be different. So it's all dependent on what is it that we are offering as far as our product. So for what value are our customers really willing to pay? And how are they currently paying, and how would they prefer to pay? So when we're looking at that revenue, we're looking at also as well, is it cash? Are we doing e-transfer? Are we doing PayPal? Are we buying a Square? Are we having stuff online for them to purchase? What am I using for that online purchasing system, right? So there is, when we get into the next section in a couple of weeks, that's where we will look at all of this kind of like to-do list, right? So how are they currently paying? And, I don't have any cash in my purse. So whenever I go shopping or whenever I go out, it's either tap or maybe e-transfer. And so we need to look at, who our customers are, how do they prefer to pay, right? And the easiest thing, even taking your phone and going like that, I don't do that yet because, my daughter does that, but I don't know how to do that on my phone, right? So taking my phone, that's pretty dangerous, right? So looking at, our revenue. And so transactional, right? They come into the store, they buy a pair of shoes, right? They buy a shirt, they buy a pair of moccasins, they buy a skirt. They come in and they buy a canoe trip or, a transactional one-time fee. Recurring, I'm sure, how many of us, I'd say 100% of us are paying that recurring fee for Netflix, right? Every month, or Crave or Apple TV or whatever else, or those recurring ongoing payments. So that generates a continuous revenue stream for that entrepreneur. Maybe you're doing training, online training or video recording training, and maybe you're going to release a new module every month, right? And people can subscribe to that Colleen's TV station where they can get business tips every month. That's an idea. I was looking at doing a moccasin video. I just haven't got there, like an online video. And and that's continuous. So that revenue, every time somebody purchases it, right? It's recurring. So it's just constantly coming in. Might not be a lot of money, but it's, you don't know where that reach out is, right? Subscription boxes. I know they've got an Indigenous box now that includes a lot of products from Indigenous entrepreneurs, and each of those boxes vary with the products that are in that box. So how is it that we are, making some of this right? Right, for us to survive and for us to live and for us to have a nice, not struggling lifestyle, right? To have a good one. So again, looking at how do I price that and how do I set that pricing? And, honestly, I feel that many of our entrepreneurs underprice ourselves with, some of the things that we sell. I worked in an organization where we hired external trainers to come in and train. So I was like, well, if they can charge that, well, why can't I charge that? I'm just as educated, I'm just as experienced, and, putting ourselves up to that standard. We go buy a pair of earrings from, a fancy store and we might pay $200 for it. Well, let's pay $200 for I don't have my earrings on today, right? Let's pay that high value of those authentic products that we love, because I love my earrings. I went to where did I go? To the Grand Canyon, and they had an Indigenous art market there. And so one of the ladies wanted to give me, an Indigenous rate, and she goes, "Oh, I'll give you a res rate." And I paid above, so I paid above the product price that she was. I'm like, no, I'm paying you, right? Because, I felt too, she was underpricing her earrings, and I've purchased a lot of earrings, so I kind of upped that. So yeah, so making sure that we are, fixing, getting, that price point good, looking at, what other people are charging for that similar product or service, and being able to put that price onto that. So here, what is our revenue stream? What is it that we're selling? Is it products? Is it convenience items? Is it moccasins and skirts and shirts and, what do I got on there? Shirts and ribbon shirts. What is the products that we are selling, and how are we pricing them? And services. So what if we're offering different services? It could be workshops, it could be consulting fees, it could be labor for a garage, right? It could be, we have a lot of hairstylists in the community, makeup artists, right? We've got photographers. So how is it that we price those fees, and how do we set that pricing? So we need to know, all of the revenue streams that are coming in. Maybe we're selling stuff online, maybe we're selling tutorials online, right? So how is it that, what are we bringing in to our business? All right. I think we have time for not only a couple questions, but also maybe let's just take a few minutes to just, look at a business idea. And in the chat, I want to get some feedback from you guys as well. So I'm going to stop my share, my screen here. And I want to think, I like to think sometimes on the spot, but actually one of the, I think I deleted that slide. I had a really cool slide on specific, on a specific business idea. So one of my cousins, I guess I'll say, we got lots of cousins, right? Wants to open a business, and he wants it to be a cottage, right? So it's in a community, and he wants to create, that cottage, and it's right along the river. So we'll just think about that little cottage, right? And so it's in the community. It's nestled just right along the river within the community. So it's going to be a river-based cottage. So if we think about, and you can put it in chat, or you can feel free to, toss out that comment. So our first component was customers, our customer segment, right? So what is one customer segment that you can think about for that specific cottage? Tourists, B&B, boaters, okay? Okay, and hunters, okay, depending on where the cottage is, right? Or even coming back to the community. So so I'm originally from Garden River. Garden River is located, if you think about the Great Lakes, right? We've got the 3 Great Lakes. It's right in the middle. Oh, artists, I like that, right? Artists to get that retreat and getaway. Oh, look at that. GR, here we go. Well, thank you for joining. Um, so we have, okay, so great customer segments there. Just some of them, fly fishing, oh my God, artists. So there is some boaters, or not a boaters, cruise ships that come into Sault Ste. Marie, right? And I don't really know if they stay overnight or anything like that, or if they have time to experiment, stay within the community. Obviously tourists is good, right? B&B, people coming in and want to stay in the community. Great ideas. So we've got those customer segments there. So now if we think about the cottage, right, and we can really think about what kind of cottage that it is that we are, going to create. One of my friends has a glamping pod, and it is amazing. And, it's the luxury, but not the I'm too old to sleep on the hard surface floor, right? But I do like camping. I grew up, next to a campground, and we had a campground, we had a campsite almost every summer that I was growing up. So if we think about value, right, what could be some value statements that we could have for this cottage? Is it a glamping cottage? And it could be what you think this cottage might be. So think about value. Remember, so if we're talking about tourists, what kind of value are we bringing to that individual? Maybe if there's something else that we are offering, right, within our product, right? We could have those cottages, but we might be adding something else as well. So if you think about the cultural experience, right, there is some cottages about 2 hours away from here, And what they do is there's 2 cottages, they got about 4 cottages, and that's exactly what they bring. The guy will come in and he'll do teachings. They'll have some fire because of, a sacred fire, and do some experiential tourism activities there. It's maybe even, away from it all, right? So you're getting that, a retreat. Exactly. They had this light is really bad on my face here. Retreats, cultural experience, a getaway, right? Getting away from it all, a time to relax. And if we're thinking about, maybe, artists, right? You get that sereneness of being outdoors. Maybe there's other things within that cottage in the area that you can include, right? Unplugging and focusing, right? Exactly. And but also having the amenities, right? The modern amenities. One of my friends had booked an island. She went on we're in the Thousand Island region, so she had went away. She was there for about a week, but she was still working. So even, being able to work while you're away, right? So getting that relaxing mode. Great ideas, guys. What's the next one was channels. So how would we reach out to our customers? What channels could we use? Remember channels, do we need a website, Airbnb, social media, right? Maybe if we're looking at the tourist part of it, maybe we're going to be directly connecting and getting on, the local tourism websites, right? To whatever one we're doing here, cultural experiences, getting in touch with our Indigenous tourism organizations, international Indigenous tourism, right? Getting people in so that people are being aware of our product and service. Relationships, local newspapers and radios. Yep, staycation. Oh, I like that. Yeah, exactly. Relationships. How are we developing the relationships with our customers and maintaining those? If we think about outreach, right? So maybe we are at that point where we're able to, participate in a lot of different events, right? Connecting with maybe those customers. Maybe we're bringing everybody to, the community to have an open house, right? Providing an open connection, right? Emotional connection, right? Being able to, that direct communication with them, and that direct relationship. And depending, even, if we're thinking about a cottage, are we going to go knocking on the door, say, hey, I'm the owner of the cottage, right? Maybe not so much, but being able to have that connection via text should anything come up, so that they know that if anything is needed, that you're always there. Email follow-up on experience to previous customers, and email special pricing as returning guests. Absolutely. And then our last one, revenue. How are we making money? Of course, the main one, right? The rental of the cottage, right, is probably our main one. But if you think about what are additional things that provide, oh, awesome, right? Provide guided tours and AUS. Okay. Guided tours. So being able to provide guided tours, you're in the community. Maybe there's a walking trail. I know Garden River has some beautiful places that you can take them. Maybe we can add in additional supplies and services. Exactly. We're situated on a river. So maybe in addition to the rental, you can add in, well, we have bikes, or maybe we have canoes, medicine walks as well. So there could be a little checklist of added on services that you can add on to that additional, to that rental, to that fee for the cottage, right? Longer time, medicine walks, yeah, maybe, yeah, those are great ideas. Yeah. All right, I think it's it's we're at this ending point with our next session, and I hope you all can join us for the next session. We're going to get onto the second part of that business model canvas, and look at behind the scenes. So what we, this one here gives us a good idea of what our product and our service and our value is, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as well. And I pass it on to Michelle, but thank you guys for joining us. And, I hope you enjoyed this session, and I hope you sign up for our next one. Thank you, Miigwech.
Wow, thank you so much, Colleen. It was full of good knowledge and just practical as well. And then you walked through us and helped us to tangibly see how this could unfold. Really great. She will be back October 4th. So in 2 weeks, we hope to see you back here, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And may you go on with the rest of your day, the rest of your week, walking tall and who Creator made you to be. So be well, and we'll see you again.
Have a good night, guys, and see you again in 2 weeks.